This is the Radically Realistic Podcast. I'm Susanna LaPointe, a 14-year personal training and nutrition coaching veteran. My wellness coaching practice incorporates strength, nutrition, and self-care. Because while fitness and nutrition are very important, they are just the tip of the iceberg as far as taking really amazing care of ourselves goes. So I incorporate all other types of self-care practices into my coaching as well. I call this podcast Radically Realistic because when it comes to implementing sustainable habits and practices to improve ourselves or our lives, they must be realistic and they must fit into our current lives. Otherwise, they won't stick. And then what even is the point? Join me each week as we explore another aspect of taking amazing care of ourselves through a lens of being super realistic about what we can and will actually fit into our lives. Let's get started with today's show. Hey friends, thank you so much for joining me today on episode number 7 of the Radically Realistic Podcast. I'm super thankful for everyone who tunes in each week, and I also am loving the comments I've been getting and how a lot of you say you're really enjoying the episodes. So I super appreciate any feedback you may have. I always welcome it, positive or negative. I would love to hear anything you have to say because I really want to put this out as a service to anyone who will listen and wants to have a different path than the typical eat less, move more, and you'll become worthy. It's a lie. It doesn't work. So anyways, I appreciate you being here. And today I just want to chat real quick because I know we're all really busy. If you're listening to this when I'm releasing it, it's 2 days before Christmas. And I want to talk about this because of the New Year's resolution craze that will be happening here in about a week. I think most of us know that New Year's resolutions are pretty ineffective, but I know it's always tempting to try to cut things out after the new year because of extra indulgences over the holidays. And what I want to talk about today is the fact that what we eat and how we exercise is not transactionary. And what I mean by that is everything we consume has calories, and the goal is not to burn every single calorie off. I wanted to talk about this because I have recently had a lot of conversations with people, and it's evident that the diet industry has perpetuated this belief that the goal is to be at a net zero or deficit calorie every day. This debilitating belief actually makes me really angry because it super limits our everything. It limits everything for us. But I'm going to back up a little bit and just do a quick little explanation of what has happened over the last years. Before the diet industry took over our lives, food was just food and movement was just movement. And somehow in there, the message became that we, and I'm talking mostly to women here, needed to take up less space and be smaller in order to be worthy and desirable. And this message has inundated our hearts and lives for the past 60 plus years. And what it has turned into is that everything we eat, we need to make sure that we burn off. This is wrong on so many levels. And what this has done is caused such a disservice to so many women who have bought into this narrative, and it's nearly impossible not to. But that we can't be trusted to navigate our own appetites and how we need to figure out exactly how many calories to eat and try to meticulously track every bite that goes in our mouth. And then we have to try to burn every calorie off to cancel out the calories that we have eaten. This is actually not the way that our bodies work. On some sort of simplistic plane, it kind of makes sense. On some sort of simplistic level, calories in, calories out kind of makes sense. But what it doesn't take into account is that each day, week, month, year, we have different needs. Some days, depending on where we are in our monthly cycles, we are ravenous and we actually need a lot more calories than other days. And other days we may feel pretty calm and naturally just get by with a little bit less because we aren't that hungry. This doesn't take into account natural fluctuations in activity either. During the summer, we tend to be a little more active, and in the winter, we tend to hibernate a little bit more and be a little bit less active. This is all okay. This is the natural fluctuation of human life, and it is a cycle, and it changes a lot. If we can take the focus off of the number of calories we are consuming and the amount of effort it takes to burn off those calories that we are consuming, then we can release the hold that the diet industry has on so many of us and learn to trust ourselves again. Before this sort of transaction mindset came about, when the food was just food and movement was just movement, we actually moved a lot more, because this was a while ago. Since that time, things have changed so much that we no longer have to do a lot of natural movement in our lives. And now what we're doing is just simulating these activities with what we are doing as far as workouts, strength training, walking, flexibility. We're doing these things to simulate things that we used to just have to do to survive. And because our current modern lifestyles require so much less movement out of most of us, we have to make these things up. And because we can make them up and track our movements and see the amount of calories that we burn on the treadmill, or know that doing an hour of strength training burns this many calories, we can get a little bit obsessive with the food in, exercise out transaction. And that is what I want to discourage us from doing, because we are so much more than a transaction. A healthy amount of movement looks like going for walks most days, making sure we get some strength training in a few days a week, working in some yoga or a flexibility and mobility practice because it feels good and serves us on a deep level, not to burn off every single calorie we have eaten. The food we consume is fuel for our best, most vibrant lives. And the movement we do keeps us strong, healthy, and flexible and active so we can enjoy our best lives. And the two are actually not super related. I became a fitness and nutrition coach because a long time ago, I too bought into the lie that if I eat perfectly and exercise perfectly, I can manipulate my body into something that makes me worthy of love. Which, of course, got me nowhere. Now I am a fitness and nutrition coach because I feel it is my responsibility to do what I can to shatter that lie into a million pieces and encourage my clients and anyone else who will listen to me to be strong and also to fuel their bodies in a way that makes them feel amazing every day. Part of that fuel is to fuel the workouts that make us feel good. But the other part is just to fuel our best lives. Sometimes that fuel is a giant salad with protein, and other times it's a big piece of chocolate cake. All of it eaten consciously, without guilt, and without the mental calculations of how to burn it off. Part of the movement and exercise piece is to look good and feel strong. But a bigger part is to feel strong and capable and pain-free and confident that we will be able to continue to do the things that we love. When we separate these two things out, you'll see that there is no transaction. And with that, I would encourage you to set an intention every day, not just on January 1st, to take amazing care of yourself, whatever that looks like that day. Sometimes that might look like salads and strength training, and sometimes it might look like pizza and yoga. When we come from a place of loving support, we will get so much further than when we are trying to make a transaction out of something that was never meant to be that. I hope you have a beautiful holiday if you are, again, listening to this when it airs, and that you get to enjoy some time with the people you love. And if you are not listening to this exactly when it airs, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope this just gives you something to think about. If this is something that has been plaguing your mind for a long time, which I think it does with a lot of women, and I really just want to break that cycle. Okay, that's it for me today. If you could leave a rating or review on this podcast, I would super appreciate it. If you would share it with your friends, I would super appreciate that too. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.